Tacloban is located on one side of the eastern Visaya province. This is where Pastor Manuel and Imelda, faithful pastors, serve. The Pastor Manuel and his wife serve the Naval Church, Paduga Church, and Busai Church by riding for hours on motorcycles to build the church. Pastor Manuel and his wife attended Timothy School several times with their daughter Michelle and church members, and he visited Korea several years ago. After returning to the Philippines, the pastor returned to his daily life and began his ministry around the various churches. One day in March 2019, the first crisis caught the pastor. On that day, while driving around the ministry area on a motorcycle, suddenly a motorcycle fell and he should be lying for seriously injuring the head. Even he was immediately taken to the hospital, but his condition was too serious. In addition, there was no way to pay the surgery cost. We couldn't afford it any finances. There was a second crisis. The Philippine church and the Korean church prayed together and gathered little by little in various churches. But it was not possible to be filled at the time God started working. The number of people praying and devoting to the pastor's recovery began to increase. His wife, Pastor Imelda, and his daughter, Michelle, were in charge of their ministry. But the faithful God remembered their situation and circumstance and gave them the most precious gift in the world, John, the precious fellow worker. So the ministry grew bigger and bigger. Young people, students, and children came to the church, and 2 more churches were pioneered by sending leaders. God's strength were revealed when man was most weak, and God's vision was revealed when the human environment was hopeless. After a while, John and Michelle stand side by side as the bride and groom and promise to spend their lives together. During the last Timothy School period, John was ordained as a pastor in the blessing of Korean and Philippine pastors. Everything seems to be going well, but the third crisis came. The owner of the Naval Church building asked to vacate the church. God saw the possibility of ministry and the future of Naval Church and made them buy land and build a church. As expected, prayer was the key to opening the heavenly door. At last, the Sim and Cody churches can buy the land and start to build Naval Church. Church members volunteered at the construction site to help reduce labor cost. The Lord will remember and repay them and every dropping sweat in their devotion. The first crisis came in the church construction process, which was aimed at completing it at the end of the October. As prices suddenly rise due to the Ukraine war, the COVID situation, and international situation, instability, so much money more should be spent than when construction began. Cody churches and Korean churches could not afford it and spend it, but we believe that this first crisis will be passed in God's special way. Just as God has allowed various crises to pass so far, rather than being discouraged by the phenomenon we see, we trust God who responds by watching and listening our prayer. Now, all SIM churches are praying for the completion of the Naval Church and participating in donations. Maybe a piece of brick that you dedicated can become a precious seed of faith and be an amazing thing to build a Naval Church again. God will fill us with more than we can imagine this time. God is our faithful, real Father. Amen.